So, hello, Sturla Brandth Grøvlen. How did I do?
You got a B plus.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you say it for me?
Sturla Brandth Grøvlen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my first question is, what was Jóhannsson like as a man?
As a man, Jóhann was a very sensitive and warm human being, as I knew him. Mm-hmm. He was a shy person, extremely intelligent, and had his musical genius, exceeds anything I know.
Yeah.
That's best I can describe him. He was a good friend.
Yeah, sounds like a solid guy.
Yeah.
So, why did he want to adapt this material, The Last and First Man? Why that novel? What was so important about it to him?
That's a good question. I don't think I can't. I'm sort of second guessing this because I didn't have that conversation with him.
Sure.
But I think it just resonated. Like, he was a big fan of the author.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of science fiction literature. He was, he studied literature in university, and he was a true sort of. He read a lot, and I think he was a fan of this book, and that he was able to find some way of visualizing this novel was also very, telling of his genius, because he found then a photographic book of these Balkan monuments, and were able to connect the dots to that and to the Olaf Stapleton novel. So I think it wasn't like that. I have to make a film about this book. I think it was like when he got the other elements through his system that he were able to see a film here.
Oh, okay. So basically, he found a way to do it, and that was why he did it.
I think he saw an opportunity. Okay, I have I can see these images, and then this part of that book. There's something in this field that that really resonates.
Okay. Yeah. So you worked on it for a while, and how do you interpret the material in terms of a subtextual contemporary message?
Oh, can you repeat that?
Sure.
Sorry.
So how do you interpret this material from the point of view of like a subtextual contemporary message, if there is one? Is it just a cool story, or is there sort of a contemporary message? Yeah,
I think it's super interesting that when Jóhann started, working on his film, he worked on it for 10 years. It was a long time, and I think I was involved since 2014, and in those years the world has changed a lot. A lot of the political agenda or the political landscape in Europe has shifted to a more nationalistic.
In North America too.
in North America too, and also of course the climate is on the agenda in a much higher degree than ever, and I think we realized when we were finishing the film that these two topics, if that's what you call them, really. The film actually really talks about those things, and that's, I think there's a message there, which was, and the book was written in 1930. It didn't have that in mind,
right.
Even though it was written in a time, between the two world wars. The climate, change was definitely not on the mind of, but but seeing the images and having. Tilda Swinton narrate this story about the doom of mankind in a way resonates with the whole climate change debate, and I don't think that wasn't on our radar when we started making the film, but it's interesting that it sort of becomes an actual theme.
Okay, so how were those sets made?
These sets, as we call them, are war memorials. That was built in Yugoslavia and between the 50s and the 80s.
Okay.
It's memorials from massacres and concentration camps from the Second World War. In the Balkans, they had a very strong resistance, and when after and Tito, who kind of united Yugoslavia into one nation, it's a lot of different ethnicities there. He was one of the communist leaders of the resistance, and so he commissioned these sculptural monuments, war memorials, to kind of unite and create a new memory for the Yugoslavian people. And they were, built by these amazing architects that, approached them in a very futuristic and abstract way to kind of not have too of clear, I think, religious connotations.
Okay, wow, that's good stuff. So, what did you shoot on?
We shot on a 16mm film, black and white, and we kind of tried to keep the process as analog as possible from beginning to end, yeah.
It's always nice.
That was
to see
technical.
It's always nice to see film again.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You've shot it in digital before.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, what do you think? What does film mean to you? What is shooting film on like?
First of all, it's I just love the texture of film, like what it creates, and I think obviously you can somehow recreate that texture to a degree on digital, but the fact that when you shoot on film, it's there to stay. It's there forever. It is a physical thing that you can hold in your hands, and it's created by alchemists. It's like chemistry. It's kind of magical in a way, and I think that that really draws me to film as medium, and also that that your mindset is different when you shoot on film. You're more aware of what you're actually shooting, because what you shoot is what you get in a way.
Yeah, and it's more expensive.
It is, some would say.
Yeah. But it's nice to see some movies in Hollywood get shot and played on 35 or 70.
Great.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I hope it happens more and more.
Yeah, I feel like it's gotten a little revival in the last few years. Like everybody thought like film was dead, and I think it's kind of going up again.
Yeah, it's like vinyl for film.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so when did Tilda Swinton come on board for this project, and how do you think she did?
Tilda, I'm not sure exactly when she was engaged, but Jóhann recorded her voice at her home in Scotland, I think in 2015. Okay. Maybe 16. And then we did an extra recording with her after Jóhann had passed in London for a few hours.
Who led that recording session?
Me and my editor led that recording session. Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I've heard of editors doing that before. I haven't heard of a cinematographer doing that. So
I kind of, after he passed, I kind of took on a sort of a creative producer role. So I was there supervising the editing and some of the sound design and the music. So
cool.
I had that kind of role. Yeah.
And did Jóhann do all the music, or was there another composer?
Jóhann shared the composing credit with Yair Elazar Glotman, who was a collaborator of his, who kind of took over the musical side of the project after Jóhann passed away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So, what were unique challenges to shooting this movie?
The unique challenges to shooting it was our little tour, like driving around shooting these monuments, in 5 or 6 different countries, obviously created some challenges, just crossing borders and being able to ship the film and not actually it got lost on the way and not being able to see what we were doing before weeks later. I think the bigger challenges came in post-production, trying to edit the film, because it's such an abstract experimental project. And there's no clear narrative, like these images fit with these images, so it was a real exploration of trying to find a structure. So the challenges were more in the editing and creating the music for the film.
Okay. So what is besides this movie, of course, what is your favorite score by Jóhann?
Sicario.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool. Why is that score your favorite? Other than you just like it?
No, I was like it. I never heard anything as sort of bold and aggressive in a way that complemented the soundscape of a film before. It totally blew me away. You can almost feel the dust of the desert in the music. It's
that's interesting.
Yeah,
it's really intense.
It's super intense.
And that relationship he had with Denis Villeneuve was obviously quite important.
Yes.
Who's from Canada, by the way? I'm from Canada.
Oh, right. Yeah. Denis is a wonderful man. Yeah.
Oh, you know him?
I met him once, and he was a very. It was actually at Jóhann's funeral, and he's a very sweet man, and I think he was a really good friend of Jóhann, and they had an amazing collaboration.
Yeah, they did Prisoners,
Arrival, and Sicario.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's good work right there.
Yeah.
All right. So, what are other films that you shot that make you proud to see? What's the greatest hits catalog?
So I'm
Victoria. I'm going to assume.
Mention all of them. Yeah, Victoria is definitely there. And there's an Icelandic film that I'm immensely proud of. It's called Heartstone.
Okay.
From 2016. I recommend everybody to watch it. I think it's not just my work, but it's a beautiful film. I think Rams is another Icelandic film that I'm very proud of. And
was by Grimur? Or?
Yes, with Grimur. Yeah.
I interviewed him at TIFF last September.
Oh, great!
Guy.
Yes, great guy. So so I'm very proud of that one. And then I had 2 films released at Sundance this year that I'm super proud of. Which is one is Shirley, which has also been premiering here at the festival.
You're right, I've heard of that one.
And then Ben Seidlin's new film Wendy, which is also a really, really cool film.
Do you want to talk about those for a minute, since we are here at the Berlinale?
Well, Wendy isn't screening here at the Berlinale, but I think it's actually coming out in cinemas in New York and LA on Friday.
That's exciting.
And it's it's a story of Peter Pan in the mind of Ben Seidlin, who did Beast of the Southern Wild.
Okay.
So that's going to be a great film for everyone to see. And then obviously Shirley with Josephine Decker, who's one of, I think, the most interesting filmmakers, contemporary filmmakers of today, which did Shirley, and she won the Auteur Award at Sundance this year. And her last film, Madeline's Madeline, which I didn't shoot, was also just an amazing experience to watch. So she's someone people should have keep an eye out for.
Okay, well, Sturla, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, can you tell me what you have planned for the rest of the year, or some of the year?
I'm now doing the color grade for Thomas Winterberg's new film, which comes out in August, and then I'm doing also the color grade for Eskil Fox's film that we shot last year. And then I'm going back to Iceland and to film with the director who did Heartstone. So that's my next feature film that I'm shooting in August.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, man.